Pope Leo XIV has formally taken up his role as leader of the Catholic Church with an inaugural Mass in St. Peter's Square. The Pope arrived in an open-top Pope-mobile, smiling and waving at the huge crowds who'd lined the streets there. The ceremonies began with prayers at the tomb of St. Peter inside the Basilica.
In a moment that shocked the entire Catholic world and beyond, Pope Leo XIV has made a statement about Pope Francis that no one saw coming. The comments have sparked intense reactions from religious leaders, believers, and the global media. Known for his calm and thoughtful nature, Pope Leo XIV rarely speaks out on controversial matters, which makes his words even more powerful. What exactly did he say, and why has it left so many people speechless? In this video, we'll break down the shocking statement, explore what it means for the Church, and how people around the world are reacting. Pope Leo XIV's remark. In a powerful message that echoed through the walls of the Vatican, it was reported that the newly elected Pope Leo XIV praised his predecessor, Pope Francis, during his first official meeting with cardinals. According to sources close to the Vatican, Pope Leo made it clear that he plans to walk in the footsteps of the late pontiff, which is widely believed by many to signal a strong commitment to continuing the relatively progressive agenda set by Francis. However, during the meeting, Pope Leo reportedly made a statement about the late Pope Francis, which left many wondering what he is up to and what he plans to do next. Now, the real question is, what exactly did Pope Leo say about Pope Francis that shook so many people? Will he carry Pope Francis's legacy even further? Or will his leadership take the Church in bold new directions under the same progressive light? Before we dive into the full statement, let's take a moment to understand who this new Pope really is, and why is his background so important to what comes next. Brace up, because this is only the beginning of what is about to be revealed. Reports have it that Robert Francis Prevost, now known as Pope Leo XIV, was born in Chicago and is 69 years old. Despite being American by birth, sources claim his life and work have gone far beyond U.S. borders. He reportedly spent over 20 years in Peru, where he became a bishop, gained citizenship, and eventually rose to lead his international religious order.
As a missionary priest, then bishop, Prevost spent decades of his life ministering to the faithful in one of the poorest areas of Peru, where he is much beloved. And as Frank just said, he now holds dual citizenship in the U.S. and in Peru.
Before the passing of Pope Francis, Cardinal Prevost had reportedly been holding one of the Vatican's most powerful roles. He is believed to have headed the office responsible for appointing and managing bishops across the world. Reports stated that he is a member of the Order of St. Augustine, and he's known for values similar to those of Pope Francis, especially his focus on helping the poor, supporting migrants, and connecting with people directly. In a statement many saw as a clear reflection of his humble approach to leadership, he reportedly said, in an interview with the Vatican's official news site last year, that a bishop is not supposed to be a little prince sitting in his kingdom. Sources confirmed that most of his religious service has taken place outside the U.S. He was ordained at age 27 and later earned a doctorate in canon law in Rome. While serving in Peru, he worked as a missionary, parish priest, teacher, and bishop. During his time leading the Augustinians, he reportedly visited communities and orders across the globe. What made headlines around the world, however, was the discovery of his roots. Reports revealed that Pope Leo descended from Creole people of color in New Orleans. His maternal grandparents, who happened to be Joseph Martinez and Louise Baquier, were described in historical records as black or of mixed race.
Pope Leo also has black family roots in New Orleans. U.S. Census records from the early 1900s that shows the first American Pope's family tree. Both of his maternal grandparents identified themselves as black or mulatto in several census documents. His two aunts also identified as black.
They had lived in the city's 7th Ward, a culturally rich Catholic area with deep African, Caribbean, and European influences, before moving to Chicago, where their daughter Mildred Martinez Pope Leo's mother was born. With this background, many noted that Pope Leo XIV has not only become the first US-born pope, but also someone whose family history represents the deep and diverse fabric of America itself. It was reported that Leo first moved to Peru in 1985 as a missionary, where he worked in several rural communities. Sources noted that he quickly became known for his dedication to helping marginalized people and made efforts to learn Spanish in order to better serve them. After spending some time back in the United States, reports stated that he returned to Peru in 1988, this time to the city of Trujillo on the northern coast, where he reportedly trained young men who wanted to become priests and also taught canon law. In late 2014, while he was in the US, it was said that Pope Francis selected him to go back to Peru as the Apostolic Administrator of Chiclayo, a diocese located on the country's northern coast.
It's not coincidental that Pope Francis chose me. I've been a missionary my whole life, and I was working in Peru.
The following year, he was officially appointed the Bishop of Chiclayo, where he went on to serve for nearly 10 years. According to multiple sources, Leo became a Peruvian citizen in 2015 and often called Peru his second homeland. Reports also highlighted his charitable work in the region. He was said to have supported soup kitchens, child care services for struggling families, and pushed for improved housing conditions along the flood-prone north coast of Peru. With such deep roots in both service and humility, it's no surprise that Pope Leo XIV carries a profound respect for those who came before him. But what truly caught everyone off guard was what he said next about Pope Francis. A statement so heartfelt and powerful that it left many speechless. So, what exactly did Pope Leo say about his predecessor, and what does it reveal about the future direction of the Church? Let's take a closer look. Pope Leo XIV's statement about Pope Francis and his legacy. Reports have it that the historic meeting took place just days after Pope Leo's election as the 267th Pope of the Catholic Church. The newly elected Pope was seen to have received a warm welcome from senior clergy members. According to Vatican insiders, the conclave that elected him was surprisingly short, especially considering the large number of cardinals and the wide diversity of their origins. Though the conclave proceedings are traditionally known to be a secret affair, multiple cardinals who reportedly participated told the media that Pope Leo secured more than 100 votes, which is believed to surpass the required two-thirds majority of 89 votes. Observers noted that such a decisive win reflects strong support for Leo's vision and direction. His early remarks about Pope Francis suggest a desire not to break from tradition, but to evolve with it. His statement reportedly had many people around the world watching very closely. It was reported that Pope Leo XIV praised the late Pope Francis for his commitment to what he described as the sober simplicity of life. According to a transcript of his address to the College of Cardinals published by the Vatican, Leo urged the Church to embrace this legacy. He encouraged them to move forward with the same hope rooted in faith. He also acknowledged Francis's efforts in promoting courageous and trusting dialogue with the modern world and its many diverse realities. Pope Leo later revealed that Pope Francis's 12-year leadership had drawn criticism from some conservative cardinals who accused him of weakening church doctrine, particularly on matters involving same gender-based relationship community in Catholics and women's roles in leadership. It was reported that when Pope Leo XIV gave his first address as pontiff from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, he ended his speech by mentioning the idea of a synodal church, a concept closely associated with Pope Francis's legacy. According to sources, the term refers to a consultative process where bishops discuss church teachings and policies. Under Pope Francis's leadership, that process was reportedly expanded to include lay people, including women, who were allowed to vote for the first time in 2023 on issues the Church should focus on. Pope Leo XIV suggested that Francis had aimed to democratize the Church by moving away from decisions being made solely by bishops behind closed doors. Instead, he wanted all Catholics to have a voice in church matters. However, sources said it remained uncertain whether Pope Leo would continue that inclusive approach, especially as it has to do with same gender-based relationship communities in Catholics. Observers pointed out that in a 2012 speech to bishops, Leo had criticized Western media and culture for encouraging sympathy toward what he called beliefs and practices that are at odds with the gospel, which includes the same gender-based relationship lifestyle and alternative families made up of same-gender couples and their adopted children. Commentators highlighted that, as an American, Pope Leo was in a unique position to respond to the rising influence of conservative Catholicism in the United States. He was said to have spoken out against the version of Christian power promoted during the Trump administration. Prior to becoming Pope, a social media account linked to him had shared posts criticizing the Trump administration's immigration policies. However, like many church leaders, Pope Leo had also faced criticism over his handling of cases involving priests accused of sexual abuse. It was reported that accusations had been made against Pope Leo XIV regarding his handling of sexual abuse cases during his time as Bishop of Chiclayo. According to multiple sources, 3 Peruvian women had come forward publicly, claiming that while Leo was bishop, he failed to investigate or discipline a priest accused of sexually abusing them. The allegations reportedly dated as far back as 2007. The women were reported to have brought their complaints to the diocese in 2022, but claimed that no serious or substantial investigation had been launched. However, church officials denied those claims, stating that an investigation had indeed been opened. They added that the case was closed in 2023, both by the ecclesiastical district and the Vatican, after a local prosecutor concluded there wasn't enough evidence to support a civil case. Observers pointed out that these allegations, along with the broader and ongoing fallout from the church's sex scandals, represented a serious challenge Pope Leo XIV would now have to confront as the new leader of Catholics worldwide. Despite the controversy surrounding his past, many within the church and beyond are now turning their attention to the future, wondering what kind of leader Pope Leo XIV will be. Will he continue the progressive path laid out by Pope Francis, or will he chart a new direction for the Catholic Church? Let's take a look at how his appointment could affect Pope Francis's legacy. The next revelation will keep you on the edge of your seat. Pope Leo. Continuity or charting a new path? It was reported that the swift conclusion of the conclave suggested that many of the voting cardinals had, from the beginning, viewed Robert Prevost as the most capable among them to take on the enormous responsibilities of the papacy. Sources stated that both formal meetings and informal conversations over dinners and coffee leading up to the election had been filled with repeated references to 2 key themes: continuity and unity. Observers noted that there had been broad recognition of the profound impact Pope Francis had made, particularly through his efforts to reach out to the marginalized, the poor, and even to those outside the Catholic faith. His attempt to serve as a voice for the voiceless and advocate for those living on the peripheries of society was widely appreciated. However, reports also indicated that there was an awareness of unresolved tensions within the Church, which is often between more traditionalist and progressive factions, which had occasionally played out in the public eye. Many cardinals reportedly felt it was essential to find someone who could bridge these divides. It was in this climate that Robert Prevost's name began to gain serious traction. Analysts noted that, while he had quietly supported Pope Francis behind the scenes, he was still viewed as someone who could be embraced by differing factions within the Church. Additionally, cardinals were reported to have considered not just the needs of the Church and its followers, but also the broader needs of humanity, especially at a time marked by war and global division. Prevost, who had been an American-Peruvian dual citizen, was reportedly seen as someone who could connect disparate communities. His comfort and familiarity with both North American and Latin American colleagues was viewed as a strength. Some sources suggested that, Unlike Pope Francis, who at times struggled to effectively engage U.S. audiences on issues like climate change, migration, and inequality, Prevost was perceived as someone who could better navigate those conversations. Commentators pointed out that during his first speech from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, Pope Leo XIV gave strong indications as to why the cardinals had chosen him. His call for building bridges and his emphasis on the global population being one people echoed Pope Francis's vision, while reinforcing the theme of unity. It was widely reported that Pope Leo's background and past actions would now come under close examination: his political views, his handling of abuse cases, and his stances on social issues. However, many believed that most of this information was already publicly known, and that the cardinals had found nothing significant enough to question his ability to lead the global Catholic Church. Commentators concluded that although Pope Leo XIV faced immense challenges ahead, his election, after just 4 rounds of voting, reflected a strong mandate from the very cardinals whose support he would most need throughout his papacy. There were reportedly some reactions to Pope Leo XIV's election and speech. Let's take a look at what was said about Pope Leo and what is expected from his reign. Hold on, because the best part is coming up. Reactions to Pope Leo's election and speech. Following Pope Leo XIV's election and his first speech from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, reactions poured in from around the world. Many were reportedly filled with emotion, hope, and a sense of renewed energy for the Catholic Church. It was reported that on Thursday evening last week, the Chicago-born Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost took the name Leo XIV and appeared on the balcony overlooking St. Peter's Square to greet the faithful, officially beginning his role as the new pope. Witnesses described the moment as emotional and full of promise. One woman in the crowd, Mrs. Oakley, said that his face shone with love and joy, and that she hoped his warm smile would reflect the positive changes to come in the world. Reports indicated that he celebrated his first papal mass on Friday morning, where he emphasized the importance of spreading Christianity in a world that he believed had begun to prioritize money and power over faith. On Saturday, during his first official audience, Pope Leo identified artificial intelligence as a growing threat to humanity and vowed to continue the work initiated by Pope Francis. Reactions to his election were swift and emotional. The Reverend John Lydon, an Augustinian priest from Chicago who had lived with Pope Leo in Peru for a decade, told reporters that he recognized the new pope's identity immediately upon hearing his middle name, Robert Francis. He shared that he had shouted the name, Bob Prevost, in excitement, and described the new pontiff as a man whose values of dialogue and respect were much needed in today's divided and polarized world. Lydon expressed confidence that Pope Leo would be a great pope for both the Church and the world. Sister Shannon Shrine, of the Sisters of St. Francis of Sylvania, also responded with excitement upon recognizing the name Robert Francis. She told reporters that she believed it wasn't just about having an American pope, but about Leo's theological depth and broad-mindedness. She added that she hoped Pope Leo would serve as a role model for Americans and said she trusted God's Spirit to work through him to move the Church forward. She also remarked that having a pope who understood America could be a significant asset. Reverend Juan Francisco Molina, a missionary priest and pastor at Sis Peter and Paul Parish in Toledo, expressed happiness that the new pope was American. As a missionary himself, Father Molina appreciated Pope Leo's background in mission work and noted that in his first papal address, he had specifically greeted the people of his former diocese in Peru. Molina, who was originally from El Salvador, said he looked forward to what the new pope's leadership could mean for the Latin American Church. In Peru, Pope Leo was warmly regarded. According to Sister Maria Adelia Danis, a Brazilian-born Sister of Notre Dame serving in Peru, the people there considered him one of their own. She said that locals viewed him not as an outsider, but as a Peruvian, due to his years of service in the country. She explained that the admiration came from the fact that he had lived among the people and dedicated his life to serving them. Sister Adelia, who works at the Catholic University of Trujillo, said she had watched the papal announcement with 4 of Pope Leo's former students, who were now teachers. They were reportedly overjoyed at the news and praised him as a kind, demanding, but excellent teacher who always took time to listen and connect with others. Overall, early reactions are believed to have painted a picture of Pope Leo XIV as a humble, compassionate, and experienced leader whose past experiences and inclusive vision had already begun to inspire hope within the Catholic community worldwide. What do you think about Pope Leo XIV's speech about Pope Francis? And do you think Pope Leo can surpass Pope Francis's legacy? Do share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click on the following video showing. Thank you.